What if I told you that one in five nonprofits will close over the next 2 years, and more nonprofits are going to experience the realization that more grants won't save them? If your organization and you as the leader are showing up every day doing the meaningful work in the community, you're applying for the grants, you're telling the compelling stories, and things still feel financially fragile, this conversation's for you. You see, because the problem isn't your mission, I submit that the problem is that your nonprofit is not being ran as the business that it is. My name is Sydney Smith, and I'm the principal here at the Nonprofit Guild. And over the last 25 years, across business education, executive leadership, nonprofit consulting, I've had a front row seat to organizations that survive and organizations that quietly disappear. You see, what I've learned is that nonprofits rarely fail because the work isn't needed. They fail because the business fundamentals that are required for any business to succeed, those business fundamentals just weren't ever built. You see, what I want to do is I want to give you a reality check that hit me in an article that I recently read through the Stanford Social Innovation Review. It was entitled, How Will Your Nonprofit Survive? It opened with a statement that I just don't think we can afford to ignore. The author said a confluence of events has dislocated funding for U.S. nonprofits, and the disruption is likely to endure. Now, what that author goes on to estimate is that more than 20% of nonprofits may close by the end of 2027. Now, I'll submit that that isn't pessimism, it's business math. You see, when the environment changes and we begin to double and triple down on the strategy that we just need to apply for more grants, we just need to get in front of more donors, you see, that isn't safety, that isn't security, it's risk. Now, before I walk you through what actually drives sustainability, I want you to know something up front. In my quest to try to help nonprofit leaders, I built a free nonprofit diagnostic tool. It's what I call an organizational audit. It's a self assessment that helps leaders see clearly where they are, where their organizations are strong, and where it's exposed. Now, I'm not going to explain it yet, but I just want you to know it exists. Because as we go through this, I believe you're going to see yourself as a leader and glimpses into your organization and into what we're talking about. Now, let's say this plainly: grants are not a business model. Fundraising is not a sustainability strategy, and hope is not a financial plan. You see, there's only two kinds of revenue: there's contributed revenue and there's earned revenue. Now, what I know to be the case is that most nonprofits obsess over one of those and severely ignore and underdevelop the other. And it's that imbalance that puts organizations at risk. Now, after working with hundreds of nonprofits, literally hundreds of nonprofits, I've seen the same pattern repeat time and time again. There are 8 business functions that determine whether an organization survives or if they slowly collapse under pressure. Now, let's walk through them one by one, and let's see if any of these apply to your organization. Number one, brand and awareness. You see, there's this classic riddle: if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Now, our logical brain tells us immediately, yes, of course, it makes a sound, but you see, the sound doesn't matter if no one's around to hear it. And I believe the same is true for us as nonprofits. I firmly believe that you do great work, that your organization serves a community need, but if no one knows about it, sure, impact exists, but sustainability doesn't. Now, awareness is not vanity, it's oxygen. All you have to do is look to the largest organizations in the world. You see, they spend extraordinary resources to earn and keep your attention. You see, no matter where you're catching this content right now, if you're not on their premium platform, I guarantee you multiple ads will appear before we're done. Because without awareness, nothing else even works. The second pillar is revenue development and diversification. You see, nonprofits, we've been conditioned to place revenue responsibility almost entirely on philanthropy. You know what I'm talking about: grants, major gifts, individual donors, monthly subscribers. You see, all of that's contributed revenue. But that other piece we talked about, earned revenue, see, those are products, services, fees, partnerships. And that's what the for profit world obsesses over. You see, they build margin, they reinvest that margin, and then they diversify risk. And unfortunately, most of us in the nonprofit world, we just don't do that. And here's the uncomfortable truth that comes with that. You see, nonprofits can make a surplus. Nonprofits should make a surplus, and nonprofits must make a surplus to survive long term. There's no way of getting around it. And this is often the first blind spot where leaders discover that they assess their organization honestly and they see there's a deficiency. You see, when leaders take that self assessment I mentioned a little bit earlier, this is where that revenue imbalance shows up pretty immediately. And I submit that that isn't a failure. It's just a signal. It's a business signal that tells us, hey, pay attention. We need to do something about this. The third pillar is executive leadership and board governance. You see, strong organizations require leadership that can make decisions in the absence of perfect information because we never have the full picture. We gather enough information to make an informed decision, and then we have to move on because there's other decisions to be made. And let me tell you, indecision is still a decision. And it usually costs more than the information we would gather if we would have simply made a decision. Now, let's talk about our board. You see, if your board rubber stamps everything you suggest, I submit that that board needs help learning how to govern. And if your board's primary involvement is simply showing up for meetings and monitoring the fundraising activities of the staff, that board needs help learning how to govern. And if your board is content year after year with simply breaking even, yep, you're right. That board needs help. You see, board members are fiduciaries. Individually and collectively, they're obligated to act in the best long term interests of the organization. That is what they signed up for. Break is even isn't neutral. Let me say that again. Break even is not neutral. Break even is fragile. Now, our next pillar for business success has to do with financial health and sustainability. You see, financial ruin rarely shows up overnight. It shows up slowly, quietly through a series of decisions or indecision. Healthy organizations, they don't monitor financial performance just once a year or even once a quarter or even once a month. You see, healthy organizations monitor it weekly. Sometimes they monitor it daily. Because when revenue changes, expenses must respond. You see, it's separate sides of the same equation. And those expenses, when they must respond, they do that even when it's uncomfortable, even when it means cutting back those core offerings that makes us who we are as an organization, even when it means reductions in force and the organization really can't absorb to lose anybody else. Those decisions are still made because that's what's needed. And this is where most nonprofits struggle. You see, year after year, organizations hope. They hope for funding to come through. They hope donors step up. They hope the next year looks just a little bit different than it did this year. But sustainability isn't hope driven. Revenue matters. Expenses require discipline. And this is the burden of effective leadership. The next pillar that's important to nonprofit success and sustainability is program performance and impact. And what I would tell you is that most organizations do this really well. They must produce outcomes that can be explained, measured, and funded. Why? Because the requirement of those foundations and donors that we're seeking to get funding from, they require it. So we do it. We're really well at this. But I would tell you, if you can't articulate your impact clearly, decision makers won't invest in it. Impact without clarity is invisible. It's just that plain and simple. Your sixth pillar is people and culture. See, burnout isn't a personal failure, it's a systems failure. We're consistently under resourced, so that means underpaid teams, high turnover, chronic exhaustion. These things are realities, and yet they're also signals that the business model is strained. You can't build sustainability on exhaustion, it's just not possible. The seventh pillar, operations and technology. You see, with those people we just talked about, yeah, those people likely are in a place to where they're coding at least two, if not three, four, five business functions each. You don't think that leads to some type of burnout? But organizations that have only been content with breaking even year over year don't have the resources necessary to invest in any type of efficiency and any type of systems. And so time and errors and missed opportunities compile, leading to more and more frustration, leading to turnover, leading to burnout. Technology isn't about being fancy, it's just simply about creating capacity so people can focus on mission and not manual workarounds each and every time. The eighth and last pillar is my favorite, strategic clarity and adaptability. You see, plans assume stability, strategy prepares for what we all know, and that's uncertainty. One of the most helpful modern thinkers on this distinction is Roger Martin. You see, he has a video on YouTube with about 6 million views that says a plan is not a strategy. And he reminds us that because the future is unknown, every organization must operate from a theory about what the future might look like, where it will focus, and how it believes it can win. You see, strategy is not a list of activities. We're going to do one, then two, then three. No, strategy is a set of choices. And without those choices, organizations spread themselves thin. They chase funding, they mistake motion for progress, and you look up and the organization isn't sustainable. You see, most nonprofits don't have a strategy problem, they have a choice avoidance, a decision making problem. And in a world that's rapidly evolving everywhere we look, adaptability is no longer optional. It's a core business function. So when you take all of those eight pillars into consideration, what we know is this: grants aren't the enemy, they're a tool. But when they become the primary answer to every single problem, they create fragility. You see, sustainability is multidimensional. Weakness in one pillar eventually pulls down the rest. And if your nonprofit disappeared tomorrow, I guarantee you the community that you serve, they would miss you. So the real question comes down to this: it's whether your business model will allow you to exist long enough to continue to matter, to make impact. So if this conversation challenged you in the right way and you want clarity instead of guesswork, that that diagnostic tool that I told you about, that self-assessment, is free. It's called Guild Check. It's a nonprofit business audit, and I have it linked in the description. And it's just an objective diagnostic across those eight pillars we just covered. You see, clarity must come first. And once we're clear about where we are, then we can make meaningful decisions thereafter. More grants won't save you. Strong business fundamentals might. I thank you for your time today. I look forward to having more discussions like this with you in the future. Please do all the things that you know to do when you watch a video. Please like, subscribe, share. Share it with that nonprofit leader that you've confided in over days, months, years, maybe decades about the challenges that you're facing. Share it with board members who may be new to the nonprofit sector and they're eager to want to come and help, but you know that they don't fully grasp the challenges and the complexity of our sector. I look forward to talking a little bit more about the business models that are important. You see this quote behind me: nonprofit is a tax status, not a business model. Let's go through the business models, the revenue models that make nonprofits more sustainable. So that's my tease. I hope to join you again very soon and you come back here. We'll talk more about that and many other issues that affect the nonprofit community. Thank you so much for your time. I wish you nothing but success and we'll talk soon.